In the wizarding world, you have to have a wand most of the time when you do magic, but you still have to be magically gifted to some degree because you can do magic without the wand. The wand is when you focus. Dumbledore can use magic with a wand that's more focused and without it. Dumbledore is one of them characters. You already know he has magical artifacts like gear, not counting just his wand, but he also has other stuff in his arsenal, like stuff he's created, like the Deluminator, this device. Something that's capable of actually removing light. He actually used it. Removing light from the area itself. It's that simple. He's one of those characters that can teleport, and if you want to get in contact with him, he can send you his calling card, basically. Floating glove, too. To where if you got to get to him, you can get to him if you got to. Yep, it's that simple. You needed me? Dumbledore. Dumbledore actually has a cool companion, a bird-like phoenix being that can carry a whole bunch of weight, even multiple different students at the same time, including Harry Potter himself. The tears of the phoenix can heal, and you can see an idea of how big it is. This companion of Dumbledore healing it, the tears of it. If he needs to make a quick escape, he can technically teleport thanks to his companion, the phoenix, this mystical entity. He can tear out the eyes of big stuff like this. One could say he had his version of Fantastic Beasts, all right. By the way, the bird is immortal, so
when it is time for them to die, then they are reborn from the ashes.
Straight up reborn from the ashes. But enough of this. Usually places that you can't just teleport in, like Hogwarts, thanks to its defenses, for example, he can kind of break that rule because he's kind of at the top of the food chain.
I thought you couldn't operate within Hogwarts.
Being me has its privileges.
That doesn't change him being able to teleport within it. You can't just teleport within Hogwarts, showing he's the exception. When we're talking about legendary wizards in Harry Potter's universe, you might think of Dumbledore, and for good reason. Being the headmaster of Hogwarts, he's one of the mightiest wizards of all time. I mean, for good reason. I mean, look how old he is. It comes to reason that experience has to play a part. Considered one of the mightiest wizards of all time, even above the main character. Magic people in general are not known for their raw physical strength, so you're not going to see like no magic person punch something crazy and they go flying. You really need to worry about a magic user's blast power. Dumbledore, for example, can create a whirlwind of flame, aka elemental manipulation whenever he feels like it. I'm talking about a wide radius area of effect type crap. Very destructive. I mean, this could definitely level a building when you consider he's not even in his prime. A good way to understand Voldemort or Dumbledore's power is this time where they was trying to breach Hogwarts' shield with all these cracking it a little bit. Voldemort was able to finish it off with the final blow, breaking it open like that. Yeah, these two could definitely blast apart a few buildings. He seems to be able to effortlessly set things on fire without any effort, if we're being honest. Yep, showing water manipulation, making a water trap against Voldemort. Can get in a straight up beam struggle with Voldemort to where the background or the environment actually breaks apart just from these two powerful wizard beings clashing. We're not going to ignore how the door just got ripped open just from him blasting through it. It's a reason why he's always training the other students, because he's at the top of the food chain. He's one of those characters where you would call a glass cannon, but he has a lot of different ways of defense. Defenses you wouldn't even expect. Being able to shield from all of this glass. Always clashing with Voldemort, can counter all these shadows from Voldemort with his own defense blocking this mess. Even this giant's flame snake attack, he can block attacks like this. It's obvious that beings like Voldemort can collapse buildings with his raw blast power. These big old giant snakes he's countered against, showing he can match such crap Dumbledore can. Voldemort is a being that can knock down electrical towers just from the collateral beam struggling with other wizard type characters. If wizards like Harry can beam struggle with Voldemort and cause buildings, rooftops to collapse, you know Dumbledore can do a lot more than that. Yeah, so I think we all can agree they can blast apart a few buildings, possibly more, since he can make a fog around the entirety of London. A good way to understand Dumbledore's strength is comparing him to the people in the universe that he's either as strong as or stronger than when it comes to wizardry, like this being, for example. A being that can literally toss a car like it ain't nothing. So it's confirmed he can lift up a few tons with magic, whether young or old. It's proven that Dumbledore is on the Grindelwald's level, because the two literally battle it out. Even against a Dumbledore that's technically in this prime, they can have a beam struggle with one another. This is a being that can make fire that only burns those that are disloyal to him, as you can see, and he's not loyal. You know he's a top tier wizard where other wizards get destroyed. Multiple wizards die from this fire one by one and they can't defend themselves against it. forming giant dragon-type bullcrap. The fire was going to expand. They stated out their mouths.
All Paris will be destroyed.
Proving that wizards that are top tier in this universe can, over time, destroy the entirety of Paris-sized type structures. AKA, these beings can wipe out an entire city over time. Just to let you know how strong the top tiers are. Respect Dumbledore. I could totally see him making mountain-like explosions based on the fact that what lower tiers can do, and he's at the top of the food chain and has a ton of experience. And remember that a lot of his feats are not even in his prime, except for some of his duels that he had in 1945, where he fought against Grindelwald, another powerful wizard. The maximum potential blast power for Dumbledore is unknown, but I would definitely say he can blast away multiple buildings if he really just wanted to be destructive and not care about innocence. So if he just blasted, Dumbledore could definitely blast apart a building just like this with a simple wave of his wand. Wouldn't you agree? This makes sense with the lore because we already know he's a match for beings like Voldemort when it comes to blast power. But when you're able to illuminate this much clouds, it just lets you know your power. If beings like this can blast a big chunk of a mountain apart, you know Dumbledore can. That's just obvious at this point. Do you think it's possible Dumbledore has blasts or magic that can blast mountains apart? Like in this occasion, he points at something and makes the stuff around it go flying. He does this without a wand in his hand. He's one of those characters where he doesn't need a wand. Like, look at his hands during this scene. As you can see, without a wand, you can see telekinesis type stuff. Everything you thought you knew about wands, it kind of is an outlier when it comes to Dumbledore because you see how he can just do stuff that breaks the rules. Like telekinetically pulling stuff to his hands. In this occasion, he has his wand in his hand, though. If you want to talk about massive aerial effect, the entirety of London, he technically filled up with fog, my dude. That's a lot of fog. He knows spells to clean up rooms if the damage is really bad. Fixing everything as they were. Nobody notices stuff like this, but look how he can just change the banners at will. He can make his wand into like a flashlight. He can do convenient spells like literally pulling out his own memories and store them permanently for memory's sake. Dumbledore can actually animate statues. The statues will help him fight. It's implied Dumbledore can actually use his teleportation during combat, and he can actually make statues come to life to help him fight in the lore. So be careful of the environment. He might actually make statues fight you. How strong do you think these Harry Potter characters are? How strong do you think Dumbledore is in wizardry? Post your comments down below. But before I get going, I gotta say thanks to everybody for the donations. It helps out a lot. Respect Dumbledore, though. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.